right now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
7 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 19th day of July in Jesus' third millennium. The year is 2016. It is the second day of the Republican National Convention, and we're going to talk about that. Craig Robinson is in the house. He's the IowaRepublican.com, where you write once a week.
I haven't written in a while.
Haven't you?
No.
Not enough to write about? Or are you busy with that new baby?
Well, I'm busy. Life's busy, but, other stuff going on.
Yeah, all right. Tom Coates is here. Tom, nice to have you here today.
Thank you, Mac, and I haven't written much either for a while.
You don't have anything to write about. I've got to get, that reminds me, I've got to get another op-ed over to the Register. I just thought about that. I need to do that. What
are you going to write about, Mac?
Well, I don't know. That's the deal. I don't know. They want me to write on local stuff with a biblical worldview. So the last one I did on the transgendered people, and that was printed on the Saturday of Gay Pride Week. Yeah. But I don't know. That's not something to talk about on the radio. Frank's here, Bob's here, Jebediah's here, and you're here. That's the most important person. 515-244-0077 if you want to get on the old pony and talk a little politics. Those are the numbers for you to call or to text. Give us your opinion. Who was the outstanding speaker last night, and who didn't do so hot? So let's start out with you, Craig. Who blew you away last night?
You got to give credit for Donald's entrance into the arena, and the fact that he only basically said a sentence. That he actually limited himself, I thought was interesting.
To Queen's "We Are the Champions."
Yes. only Trump.
What did you say?
To Queen's, the band, song "We Are the Champions."
It's Queen.
Okay, Queen.
Frank is a bigot. I figure you know that. Freddie Mercury, one of the all-time great vocalists of my life. I love to listen to Queen.
And then I thought Giuliani's speech was probably the top for me. To see someone who's not giving a prepared text speech that really just kind of lets it rip. And
so you don't think he was using the...
he may have, but I think that, we always say, it's like someone runs for president or runs for office, then they're out of office and they do some interview and we're like, wow, we wish they were like that when they were running for president. Yeah. You hear a lot of that about Giuliani today, and what it tells me is when you're running for office, you're surrounded by all these consultants and all these people in your ear, and they're giving you advice and all that stuff. And my advice always to political candidates is be who you are. If that's what you believe, go out and say it. And I think Giuliani, there weren't any constraints on him last night, and I think that's really how he believes and feels, and he conveyed that.
Yeah, I remember we had Giuliani on on the radio years ago when he was running for president. And the guy that I saw last night was close to the guy that I had on the radio. But that guy last night, I'd vote for him all day long.
Yeah.
Because you're right, he was a little reserved in the studio. Were you in the studio with me at that time?
I don't remember the Giuliani.
Did he come down to Radio Row? I bet he did. Wouldn't we?
When we had the Radio Row on immigration, or when we talking about the 08?
The 08.
Okay, the 08. I don't remember him, and I think I would have.
Okay.
Well,
I do remember him.
This probably predates that, but at some point he was battling colon cancer. Mm-hmm. So
that was at the start of the campaign.
Keep in mind what he accomplished, guys, and what we need more of right now in the inner city. when New York was going through some really difficult times in the 70s and early 80s, it was as bad as any place. I mean, they had all sorts of, and I visited there a few times. In fact, was there for 5 weeks when I was going through my training as a broker with Merrill Lynch back in the mid 70s. It was a pit, and he came in and he cleaned it up. So it can be done, but you have to have the will to do it. And we were talking today, Craig, about Chicago, and its mayor is Rahm Emanuel, former chief of staff for Barack Obama, who famously said, "Never let a crisis go to waste." And guys, that the shootings in Chicago has ramped up now, where year to date they're at 2,200 shootings. That's an average of 11 shootings a day, and yet nothing's being done about it, and you don't hear anything from the media or about Obama. You get a one-off, you get a black man, that miscreant or otherwise. And by the way, I see that the gentle giant from Ferguson's mother is going to be one of the speakers at the Democrat convention. Nice young man skipping on to grandma's house for cookies and happened to be accosted by an evil police officer one day down in Ferguson and shot while he put his hands up. Nonsense. But we get all kinds of garbage from this White House when that one-off thing happens, but not any talk about the 11 shootings, black on black, going on every day in Chicago.
Frank?
Well, it was mentioned here in the media recently, the comparison between the crime statistics of Chicago now and what the crime statistics of New York used to be. In the 1970s, I had a relative who drove truck. You didn't go into the city of New York only but in the daytime. You didn't drive if in fact you parked your truck out in a rest area at least 50 miles from the area before you went into the city. Rudy Giuliani's success come through stop and frisk, getting illegal guns off the street.
Yep.
And something of that same magnitude is going to have to be done in Chicago to roust these people, these illegal thugs and criminals that is committing all this gang violence, drug-related gang violence. But Obama won't pull the trigger on that.
Oh, no. No, he has no interest in. And that's what we said. This fellow got upset with me last time for talking about Obama. If he really had any concern for the plight of the black Americans, he would do something about the continuity of nothing but joblessness and servitude to the big government that he's put many of the blacks in, because there's no hope of many of them finding a job, and the black violence that we're talking about. If he really had any concern, he doesn't.
But what political benefit does Obama or anyone have to do it? That's where what benefit does it get them? Yeah. They act in this country, politicians, I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, you act because it's going to help you in some way. Maybe it's a campaign down the road or your reelection or whatever. What good does it do for Obama to get tough with the black community on guns?
Well, you have to have a permanent underclass of victimhood, or the Democrats can't be put in office. So if victimhood goes away, who's going to vote Democrat? So you have to perpetually keep people in a state of victimhood to keep them thinking that someone's against them. That's why race will never disappear in this country. That's why poverty will never disappear in this country, because the Democrats are going to ensure to make programs that keep people trapped in perpetual
Poverty. Yeah. 515-244-0077. So we know each other so well, Craig. We can
finish each other.
Oh, yeah. It's spooky.
I look forward to the day.
Yeah. All right. So 515-244-0077. If you want to comment on the convention last night, what was your favorite part? What was your least favorite part? Tell me what you're hearing on this Mrs. Trump copied a speech thing.
Yeah,
the liberals are all over it.
Right. I mean, you woke up. I saw a little bit last night when I finally went to bed, and then this morning and everywhere that they're saying that she plagiarized her speech because Michelle Obama said something similar in 2008, and I kind of laugh at this, and I think that this is look. The media drives me nuts because they're like a ravaged set of dogs. And conservative activists act this way on some issues, liberal activists act this way on some issues. But the thing is, so they're all pouncing. There's nothing for them to eat except this carcass, which is the speech that she gave last night. And frankly, both Michelle Obama, I liked Michelle Obama's speech when she gave it. I liked Melania Trump's speech last night when she gave it. There's a lot of the areas that sound very similar, they're very generic. I mean, that's like, I tweeted today, I said, well, aren't they all plagiarizing Whitney Houston's Greatest Love of All?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
I mean, so what? Republicans can no longer talk about kids and their children reaching for their dreams. I mean, that's off limits because Michelle Obama has trademarked it. Nonsense. And so I think this is just all this stuff. And quite frankly, I'll be honest, doesn't seem like it today, but I think the media's focus, and they can't talk about anything else except controversy, actually helps Donald Trump. We're not hearing anything about Hillary Clinton today. It's all Trump all the time. And I don't think this hurts him in the end of the day.
Oh, I don't think so. I heard a speech that Barack Obama gave maybe 6 weeks after another fellow, word for word on much of the speech. Biden was caught plagiarizing different times. Michelle herself on that speech they're referring to plagiarized from somebody earlier. So they're desperate to grab a hold, because I think it was a good one, Mac. I think the event yesterday was a good one.
Yeah, I was really, well, I guess I was surprised that Mrs. Trump was that good of a speaker.
Yes.
Yeah, she apparently speaks like 5 languages.
Well, and she personalized him.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe the most important aspect. She personalized him as a human being.
Yeah. When I met her, I asked her if she speaks Italian, and she said, yeah, get in the trunk. We're coming back live here on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I thought it was interesting that when this came on last night, I couldn't help but think, and I understand I'm a huge Queen fan. I have always been a huge Queen fan. When they came out in the 60s or early 70s, probably.
Early 70s.
Yeah, because I remember playing them on KIOA. I had no idea why their name was Queen. I wasn't in touch with culture, I guess, that way. And then when I found out, I thought, well, that's pretty cool. But my friend, I'm trying to find something here on Facebook. My friend Chris DeBolt made the comment that he wonders if, what's his name, Donald Trump, realizes that We Are the Champions was written by a gay Middle Eastern man named Farak Balsare, a.k.a. Freddie Mercury. Now, they have to pay for using that song. Somebody has to pay for that. So I wonder if does Trump have to pay for that? Does the RNC have to pay for that? Because you can't play that song and have it broadcast on television like that. Now, we just played it, but we've got a BMI license for music. Oh, I bet you the RNC probably has a BMI license too.
Well,
Broadcast Music Incorporated.
Being that a lot of contemporary music artists are liberals, they just get irked that a Republican would use their songs anyway. They would gladly donate those songs like Fleetwood Mac did with the Clintons.
Mm-hmm.
But when Sarah Palin wanted to use Barracuda by Heart.
That's right, I remember that.
Heart threw a conniption.
I don't think Heart can throw a conniption. Don't they have the right to buy the song and use it?
Well, right, and then what happens is you have a temper tantrum, and then the media writes about it because again it's just a bone, and the wolf pack comes and they chew on it, and then they just make it so it's easier for you just to not use the
John Cougar Mellencamp didn't want to let Ronald Reagan have "Ain't That America." Mm-hmm. Back, in Reagan's campaign. So it, and of course the other one, the guy from New Jersey
Bruce
Springsteen, he throws a conniption about any kind of Republicans using his songs.
Well, last night it was Donald Trump and walking, as I recall, because I was working at the time on my laptop. Wasn't he behind like a smoked?
He was backlit.
Okay.
And so you just saw the silhouette come out, and they had a little smoke coming up, and you didn't know if it was a video element that was coming or him. And I mean, it was very well played.
And what did he say?
He just came out, kind of smirked, told everyone that we're gonna win big. And then he's like, the next first lady of the United States, my lovely wife.
Oh, he introduced his wife.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay. All right. So tell me what you thought about the mother. Was it the mother?
Patricia Smith, Sean Smith's mother.
And Sean Smith died at Benghazi.
He was one of those guys that supposedly was left behind to clean up some records. I think he was a computer guru, and he was supposed to wipe out and clean some computer hard drives or something so something wouldn't fall into the hands of the enemy of what was going on there. But Sean Smith was one of the four that died in Benghazi, and his mother, it was just raw, unemotional, just in your face. You lied to me. Mm-hmm. And Chris Matthews on one of the competing networks to Fox started saying, well, what did Hillary do? What Hillary done is she denied over 600 requests for security for these people. They were literally begging for security. Mm-hmm. And they were lied to. Leon Panetta lied. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Clinton all lied to her and told her it was over a movie trailer when simultaneously Hillary was emailing her daughter Chelsea and telling her it was a terrorist attack and the Turkish ambassador it was a terrorist attack.
Well, and the worst thing she did is, what difference does it make? That throwaway comment when you lost your son or your daughter or whoever, the fact that a government official of the United States, a Secretary of State, what difference does it make?
At this point now, what difference does it make? And you're right. She did. The report I heard from the inside source was that she had been called that night by Barack Obama himself and told we're going with the story of the video as the cause. And she then called Slick Willie, her so-called husband, and said, what am I going to do? And he says, well, nobody's going to probably believe this, but if you step down as Secretary of State now and Barack Obama loses, which at that point was a very contested election with Mitt Romney, the Democrats will never forgive you, and you can't run for dog catcher after this, so suck it up, go with it. She did. She lied to the families, to the public. She didn't want to do the Susan Rice thing, go on all the talk shows. She passed that buck off Susan Rice, and she had to do that. But she did lie to him, and we know it was a lie because of the subsequent conversation.
Did you see Giuliani pounce on that last night and throw his hands up in an exaggerated manner like, what difference does it make?
Yep.
It makes a lot of difference.
Do you want to know, I think it's important for people to also realize the difference who you nominate matters. I will guarantee you, if Donald Trump was not the nominee for the Republican Party, we would not be making an issue that she would not have spoken at convention. The NRA would not be running those ads. They're brutal ads. And I think this is the campaign that people wanted Romney to run.
Oh, yes.
And I
begged him to run.
I think the fact that Romney's, when he backed down, he opened the door for the likes of a guy like Donald Trump to run, because he's never going to flinch. And this is the type of campaign that I don't think Hillary and the Democrats know how to combat it. They'll say you can't do it, it's wrong, all that stuff. Shame on you for doing this. But this is the different type of campaign you get because of Donald Trump being your nominee. If it was Ted Cruz or anyone else, it would all be tamed down. It wouldn't be the same.
Absolutely.
I agree with you, Craig.
515-244-0077. That's the number you can call if you'd like to chime in on what your thoughts were on the convention last night. I'd love it if I could get a liberal to call in and tell me what they thought of it, or maybe they don't. Do they watch it? Well, I guess I watched the Democratic one, so I don't know. I just I was on and off last night watching it, and I liked what I heard. I liked Giuliani. I liked the energy that he had. I also liked the sheriff. You now tell me that was a sheriff, the police officer.
Milwaukee.
Yep. Was that Milwaukee sheriff?
Yep. David Clark.
David Clark.
Blue Lives Matter.
Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah, I thought he whooped on that pretty good. Now, do we know who's coming up tonight?
Well, they're doing the roll call of states, I think, today. And then we get two Trump kids, Tiffany and I think Don Jr. tonight. Is Chris Christie speaking tonight, or I'm not sure.
Have you heard the theme tonight? I haven't. It's supposed to be a different theme every night, and
last night was "Make America Strong Again." I think is tonight "Make America Work Again," or I'm not quite sure.
Well, I think the whole thing is going to culminate in prosecuting Hillary. What the Democrats refuse to do, the Republicans refuse to do, is prosecute the crimes against Hillary, the story against Hillary, why she is not to be trusted. There was, in fact, even a woman on, I can't remember the woman, but she was saying she was literally questioning Hillary's intelligence, her IQ level.
Oh, yeah, tell me about that.
That she's this was either on purpose or she's inept. And if she's inept and she doesn't know what's going on in the small circles of what she was doing, how can she run the entire government as president of the United States? And that her mental faculties aren't that good. And I think there's evidence to back this up because Hillary did not pass. She's one of an elite group of people who did not pass a Harvard graduate who did not pass a D.C. bar exam and had to later on pass the bar exam in, guess, of all places, Arkansas.
Yeah, exactly right, Frank. And, we're told, well, she was on the Watergate Commission. Yeah, but she was thrown off the Watergate Commission.
Yeah, she was thrown off for integrity issues.
She was Secretary of State, but look at the embarrassments. Look at what she did with Libya overall, not just even Benghazi, but the Gaddafi government was a bulwark to stand up against some of the terrorism that has taken over the country since then.
Well, this is the funniest thing when I watch these Democrat ads. There's an ad out now that's, making fun of Donald Trump where he's, telling Chuck Todd to meet the press, that he gets a lot of his, foreign policy, forms a lot of his foreign policy opinions by watching the, quote, shows and how awful that is. And I'm like, okay, well, look at the alternative. Hillary Clinton, is supposed to be, so smart on foreign policy issues, so well-versed, and look at the mistakes that she has made. In fact, you can even look back at George H.W. Bush. Usually, presidents don't come into office with a lot of foreign policy experience. It's the one big weakness. And you look at it, the most prepared typically make the biggest blunders because I think they overthink it sometimes, where I think there is something about being a little bit more instinctual and following your gut instincts a little bit on what you should do and how you should react.
Well, look what Barack has done with Iran, giving them $150 billion, biggest exporter of terror over there. He's turned his back on some of our allies. He and Hillary both want to take Assad out over there in Syria.
Now it's not 20 years until they get a bomb. It's 10.
They cut it in half.
Yeah.
I know. And this was a secret agreement because
agreement.
Iran was threatening to pull out, and they demanded some additional concessions from Obama, who gave them to him quietly under the table. Now, if this became public with a Republican president, you'd be seeing it on headlines. Craig, you've seen it. I've seen it. Maybe Frank has seen it. But I guarantee you that 99.9% of the American public doesn't know that's happened.
It's like the quietest AP story ever.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Did you hear it back?
What?
That a secret agreement between Obama and the Iranian mullahs has actually significantly cut down the time that it's going to require them
10 years.
Yeah.
There will be another deal. There will be another one after that. Remember what I told you long, long ago. Obama's next job is running the United Nations.
Yeah. You could be right on
New
that.
World Order.
He wants to keep a presence, I think.
Yeah. All right, 515-809-0993 is our Service Legends text line, and that's where you can text in your comments or question. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, the question is Matt going to ask about what Steve King said yesterday? And I just kind of looked up. It was Monday, and it was on MSNBC, and according to USA Today, Congressman Steve King of Iowa declared that white people have contributed more to the advancement of human civilization than any other subgroup of people.
Yeah, they're buzzing about that all over.
Well, and Craig, didn't I see you put something on there about it really helped the Democratic fundraising?
Well, yeah. So just driving over today, every congressional candidate, Democrat, running in office in Iowa is running, sending out emails, raising money off of Steve King's comments.
I recall now who the woman was that was questioning Hillary's intelligence. That was our own Joni Ernst. Last night, I believe it was in a CNN interview, and she hammered her about 3 times. She's not very smart because I know, being in the military, if I would have done the same thing, I'd be court-martialed and be in a military brig.
Mm-hmm. All right, when we come back, I want you to unpack what Steve King said, and because I'm interested in the fact that you say now the fundraising letters are going out on the backs of what he said. I think I understand the psychology of that, but I want to learn. Craig Robinson's here, Tom Coates is here, and thank heavens you're here, live on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Uh, 4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Hank, the Bible Answer Man, 1-888-ASK-HANK. I'd call now. He can only take maybe 12, maybe 16 calls, and it's a live show from around the world. So, and you always say, Frank, that you don't always agree with Hank.
I found myself agreeing when he explained why the 4 gospel writers weren't totally in harmony about the events of the gospel. And he made 3 or 4 excellent points. And that day I agreed with him, posted it on Facebook, and gave him an amen, brother.
And was he just so affirmed by knowing that Frank the Voice Thomas?
I think so.
Agreed with him?
I hope so.
All right. Craig Robinson is here. Now, this is a guy who really gives me affirmation. I love his posts on the Iowa Republican. But your politics is kind of like a salad before dinner. You always have one. Yeah. You always have it. But no, you do. Sure. You always have a good opinion and filled in. So tell me what's going on with Steve King now. What did he say, and why is everybody getting all excited?
Well, he was on MSNBC yesterday, and they were debating on whatever issue of the day, and it had a... when you watch these videos back, they don't show you the whole exchange. They show you just the parts they want to promote. And so anyway, King said something about how he was talking about Western civilization, how it has produced, all the meaningful things in the world and not all these other subgroups, to which the host, Chris Hayes, took offense to, saying, so, basically you're saying that white people have done all this, and these
so
other.
What about Asia and Africa? Well, yeah. Asia can boast of some things. There's not a lot of progress that was being made out of Africa that benefited all of mankind.
But I will say this, that I think King seems to find ways to get himself into trouble. And if it were me, I would just say maybe you should stop going on MSNBC. There's a reason. There is a reason why they invite people like Steve King on that network, because they know what they're getting. They invite Steve Deace on that show. Yeah. They know what they're getting. It plays. They're playing to their audience, and I think but King loves it.
They lured Trump in on that hypothetical question about abortion, whether women should be punished for abortion. Mm-hmm. Well, clearly, if you're of the personhood movement and the personhood stature, that would have to be where it would lead. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't segment part of society off and say you're not subject to punishment. But it was a trap.
Well, Stephanopoulos and Chris Matthews are a couple of the ones that normally lay those kind of traps out. And Steve King, being as outspoken as he is and not careful with some of his remarks, is going to step into it. And as you said, Craig, now he may have been talking mostly factual information, but they're going to blow it out of proportion, out of context. Well, and how are they raising it now?
Then you build it out where, he was an outspoken opponent of Harriet Tubman being on the $20 bill. For some reason, he's displaying a Confederate flag on his desk in Washington. These are all issues in the last month, and you add all it up, and it snowballs. And the problem is a reasonable person, maybe a low-information voter, they look at this and they say, what on earth is this guy doing? Of all the things we've been talking about in this country, with law enforcement, Second Amendment issues, all this stuff, Steve King tends to find himself talking about race an awful lot, which is a mistake on his part.
But the one thing I admire about Steve King, I told him to his face when he was here in the studio several months ago, and it's the same thing with Donald Trump. Don't back down, don't apologize, because the media is foaming. They're foaming at the mouth trying to get somebody to apologize, and then they go in like sharks in a feeding frenzy.
I was going to bring this up earlier, but if you want to know how the Republican Party is changing, we talked about Giuliani last night. We see Trump as our nominee. That's the future. Outspokenness, blunt. If you're running for president anymore, I don't think you can sit back and I'm going to be thoughtful and reasonable, and that's hard in this society of social media and all that stuff. The people with the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that's where our politics is going.
Well, did you see the lead editorial? Mac mentioned the paper earlier. Did you see today's lead editorial about both Trump and Indiana Governor Mike Pence?
I haven't read it.
Two great chauvinists. Couldn't have picked two greater chauvinists to run on the same ticket. You didn't see that, Craig? Do you not watch the Des Moines Register anymore?
Well, I tune in once in a while, but I mean that's just laughable. I mean,
was that coming from
that was the lead editorial?
But was that coming from the liberals or our team? Because our team doesn't have much nice to say about Pence now. Some of the folk who may have walked out on the convention last night.
Well, I think, Craig, what do you think about that? They try to blow it in that walkout into a big deal. What did you think of it?
Well, when I talked to delegates yesterday afternoon, only a couple of them actually left. Everyone else was moving around to the back of the room or whatever. It looked bad. I don't blame C-SPAN for reporting it. They looked down. The Iowa delegation, most of it got up and left. They didn't know where they were going. But here's my point with all of this.
They didn't know where they were going. That's funny.
But but when you look at what they were trying to do and to vote down these rules, it's stupid. I'll be that blunt. There's no alternative to Trump at this convention. Donald Trump's going to be the nominee, whether you like it or not. And we were going to vote down the rules, which, by the way, everyone's like, well, they were trying to so the delegates could vote their conscience of whoever they wanted. True, but to do that, you have to get rid of all the rules, including the rules that keep Iowa first in the nation. So we're just going to throw it all out there. We're going to rewrite rules from scratch with all 2,500 delegates. And then what? I mean, this is it's not a very well thought out.
And Trump does have a long memory. Is this going to cost Iowa perhaps their first in the nation status if he gets to be president?
Probably not. But it's, again, we tend to send delegations down to national conventions only to do things that make people be able to write those type of articles that we don't deserve.
When is Ted Cruz scheduled to speak?
It's coming up. It's either today or tomorrow. I think it might be tonight. I think the speech he gives is incredibly important.
Do you think he will say, hey, look, I know the campaign got heated, but
Absolutely, yes, he will.
Trump is clearly a better candidate than Hillary, and let's get behind Trump, or do you think he's just going to try to make his statement for 2020?
Look, the best thing for him to do is to hold his head high. I fought a good fight, but I lost. And, but I'm not going away. That's what he needs to accomplish tonight. But I think if it comes off as, I'm bitter, that's the last thing you want to look like. So even though we know there's loud voices in his ear about what they probably want him to insult Trump to some extent, that doesn't serve his political purposes down the road. By the way, those delegates who wanted to get rid of the rules that could jeopardize Iowa's first in the nation status, what would hurt Ted Cruz the most is if Iowa doesn't go first. He needs the state first. Well, so anything that would jeopardize that, I think, is
what's
just
the
stupid.
Folks who've been supporting this Never Trump, and they're trying to rally Ted Cruz? What happens when he embraces Trump and says, this is it? What's those folks likely to do then?
Well, they're just like the media. I mean, they'll continue to chirp and make fun of Trump every time he does a slip up or does something stupid. That's what they're going to do. They're like the old guys in the Muppets sitting upstage, making fun of it.
I mean, two grouchy old men.
I'm known to do that on occasion too. But I mean, my thing is I wish they would just take all your energies, go down ballot somewhere and focus them there, and just you don't have to have an opinion on everything these days.
So this whole thing wraps up Thursday, right? Mm-hmm. Thursday night. And is there any, in your opinion, Craig, is there any chance that Trump will not get the nomination on the first round?
None.
They're
actually, by the rules of the convention, they could try something. They might be doing it as we speak. But by the rules of the convention, there's not an alternative out there to him to vote for. And so Iowa should award all 30 delegates on the first ballot, unless something crazy were to happen. So I think it's locked up. It's done. And I think when it'll be official, I think people will finally move past it and get over it.
All right, let's take our last break. When we come back, we've got a text line open. If you want to text us what you're thinking, 515-809-0993, or you could call in and tell us what you're thinking, 515-244-0077. It's live here, Max World, on The Truth, 99.3.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4 minutes before 5 o'clock. No, I'm sorry, 4:50. 10 minutes before 5 o'clock. Thinking about those old men on those grunchy guys on the Muppets. You guys make me laugh. What a great show it is today. Tom Coates is here and Craig Robinson. Craig, I got to tell you, we have a lot of political pundits on here, and you really are as good, if not the best one we have.
Well, thank you.
And we have some good ones.
Do you want some breaking news?
Yeah.
There are 2 names on Hillary Clinton's VP list. This is the Washington Post. It is Tim Kaine and Tom Vilsack.
Ooh, Vilsack is on the short list.
I think
huh?
that is a live wire, and I think a very much a possibility.
Now, I'm sorry, I don't know Kaine. Who is that person?
I think he's is he a Virginia senator?
Didn't he wasn't the ex-Virginia governor?
Yeah. Well, you can only be governor in Virginia for 4 years.
Yeah.
Then you got to run for another office.
Okay. So, are you serious on that? Virginia's one term and that's it?
Yeah, absolutely. 4 years and you're done. Yep.
I love that. Well, let me ask you, does that make it a better state?
No. I actually think that I'm fine with term limits, but like you end up just getting this cycle, and it empowers the bureaucrats that they have the power in the state. Where a governor, we know, hey, you come and go, you're a lame duck the minute you lift your right hand.
All right, so Vilsack, obviously he was the Secretary of Agriculture, or he still is.
He still is.
Okay, he's a former governor. He's a nice guy, don't you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he didn't do a bad job in office. He did better than what's his name.
Well, my goodness, he was smart and he was hardworking, and those are 2 qualities that we didn't have with his successor.
And he is a Clinton loyalist. That matters.
Doesn't he have about the personality of mud?
Doesn't matter.
He's a Clinton loyalist. What does that mean?
Look, he ran for president in 2008, but I think that. I think Hillary came in and this is a long time relationship. When he was running for governor, Hillary came in to fundraise for him, to help him in the 90s and all that stuff. So this is a deep connection with her, which I think makes a lot of sense.
So,
and she needs help in rural areas. If you're going to exploit the Trump weakness, you have to do well in rural America. And he definitely brings that kind of credibility to that ticket.
But in my estimation, with Hillary, you're going to have to get some energy somewhere on that ticket. And Vilsack does not exude energy. And Trump will hammer him with the same line with Jeb. Low energy. What do you want? You want something done in this country, or you want these 2 deadbeats?
Well, which is why Elizabeth Warren was thrown about, because she is high energy now.
And she appeals to those Democrat activists.
And she activates that far left party that Bernie has deserted now. Many of them feel like they've been deserted by Bernie Sanders, and she would help pick that up. So I'm still waiting to see. I don't think that Vilsack, and I don't have
both of those names would be considered safe. So not what you're talking about, because I would think like a Julian Castro, who's been in the cabinet, would be someone that I think Hillary needs someone fresh, someone new that America is yet to be introduced to.
Do you think Hillary could have another hen in the hen house?
Maybe. Oh, sure. Absolutely. They all could. Whenever this stuff is coming about.
I don't know what another hen in the hen house
That means another name out of nowhere.
Two women in the same, 2 females, 2 women on the same ticket. I don't think her ego could do it.
Well, and I don't think she likes Warren. I think the feeling is mutual. Let me ask you, Craig, with the kind of divisiveness and the lack of appeal to some of the base that both these candidates bring to the table, there's been people that are saying that usually the Libertarian Party does not factor in, neither does the Green Party. This time, perhaps both of them might. And they're running some polls now that indicate that Gary Johnson from the Libertarian wing might carry as much as 6 or 7% of the vote. Do you think that's even a possibility?
Yes, and there's other polling data that shows that he actually pulls more from Hillary than Trump. It's interesting. I think Peter Thiel is introducing Trump, who is he's a libertarian on Thursday night. And so Trump has that libertarian appeal. If you look at the GOP autopsy that they did a number of years ago after the 2012 election, look, they wanted a candidate that didn't stress social issues, that, all this stuff. And you look at it, and by and large, Trump fits that bill, except for the issue of immigration. And I don't think that I'm not as surprised as by Trump's emergence in this race as others are. But the other thing, I was doing an interview with someone last week, and I said, look, I think in 2008, Americans they wanted to see what it would be like to elect the first black president. I think they're curious as what would it be like if Donald Trump was president. Maybe we'll watch the show.
A businessman,
a complete outsider, not a politician. I think the curiosity here gives him a huge leg up, and I don't know what will explain it. But if I had to place a bet today, I'd bet on Trump winning, not losing.
I would too.
How about a landslide?
And that could be true too.
They're not gonna dig something up on him that his supporters are going to care about. The question is, will the base come out? Will the Republican base come out? Because I just can't. I mean, Steve Deace is one of my best friends. I'd be there in the middle of the night for him. But this hashtag Never Trump stuff is driving me crazy.
But Steve Deace and Bob Vander Plaats don't ever support the Republican nominee. I mean, they don't. I mean, were they there for Mitt Romney and John McCain? Of course not.
No.
So, I mean, look, don't. The Register did an article it was fascinating about the Republican base, the evangelicals and all that stuff. I was fascinated by it. Well, then I just skimmed it and I read all the names and I'm like, okay, I know none of them are ever going to support. I know them all. They're not going to support Trump. The most interesting, though, was some pastor I'd never heard of, Baptist minister, and he was brutally honest. I don't like it, but I'll vote for him because I don't like her.
Yeah.
It's not. Don't overcomplicate it. Look, Trump's going to get 80 to 85% of all Republican votes. The biggest mistake people make is they listen to the loudest voices in the room and what they're saying, and that's not necessarily how. And I'm not saying that their voice is wrong. I'm just saying that it might not be representative of voters at large.
I think the other thing you're going to see is there's going to be a bunch of new voters that have never participated before that is going to vote Trump, because I know a lot of them. I've got several in my family.
I've got hundreds in my family. I have this huge Catholic family. I go to family reunions. They all know I work in politics for years. They have not cared. I work for Steve Forbes. They could care less. I go to the family reunion this year. Everyone, well, what do you think of Donald Trump? Have you met him? Do you like him? I kind of like him. I mean, it's just, it's bizarre. He's actually, he's made, I think, politics a little more approachable for those people.
How important is his acceptance speech?
I think it's incredibly important. I think it sets a tone. I think he needs to be presidential, but not boring. He needs to be himself. But I think acceptance speeches matter because they set the tone. I've looked back at previous ones. They're always kind of foreshadowing if he nails this, he'll be in good shape.
Craig Robinson from the Iowa Republican, Tom Coates, Consumer Credit, Frank and Bob, Jebediah, me, I'm Mac, and you are the most important person in the room. Thank you for listening. Remember, tonight when you go home, think of somebody you've been carrying a resentment around, that heavy boulder, that thing that you just haul around. Tonight, forgive them, because as you forgive, you will be forgiven. I'll see you in church.